So today I'm going to show you what gear I have in my camera bag for weddings. So first thing is, the camera bag I use is the Think Tank version 2 Street Walker. Plenty of room for the stuff I'm going to show you today. The back is nice and padded. Everything I need that's important as far as lenses and cameras and things like that, the audio gear, all goes in here. The main camera I use is the Canon 5D Mark IV. The plate that I keep on the 5D Mark IV is for the DJI Ronin S. It does work okay on my glide cam as well and tripods, so I keep it on there since that's my main camera. I also use a battery grip so I can keep 2 batteries in here all the time. Even though it adds a lot of weight, for that I was always changing batteries, and now I only have to change batteries once. 95% of my weddings I have to change them just once using the battery grip. My second camera, or my backup camera, is the Canon 6D Mark II. I use it when I have to shoot the ceremony in full. I also have right now Canon 60D. It's also important to have a second camera in case your main camera goes out. The main lens that I use for a wedding day is the 24-70. I use this from the time I get to the wedding until the reception. I will use it during the reception though, because I can get out to 24 if there's a group of people dancing, the dance floor is full. It's really good to get that wide shot. So I usually will switch between the 24-70 and the 85 during open dancing at a reception. The 24-70 is what I keep on my camera 90 to 95% of the wedding day. I also have the Canon 85 1.8. I mainly use this during receptions, especially during the first dances and toasts. I use it to get in close on the dance floor during the reception. It's a good lens, especially with the 1.8, to get in close and for low light situations. Another lens I use on the wedding day is the Canon 135 2.0. I mainly use this during the ceremony. Sometimes I'll use it during the reception and also toasts. Another lens I carry in my case, but I don't use it often, is the Canon 17-40. It's a 4.0. The only time I would really use this is if I'm at a venue and there's some great landscape, or it's just a beautiful venue on the outside, and I'll use that to get a really wide shot, like an establishing shot. But other than that, I won't really use the 17-40, but I keep it in my bag just in case I do need it. To keep all my cables, I have the Think Tank Cable Management version 2. It's really nice. It's a see-through pouch, and I have all the cables. I have an XLR. I don't have a ton of cables, but I carry the XLR 1/4 inch. I keep a Zoom H1 in here. I'll use this for sitting on podiums, getting ambient sounds. I'll attach it to the microphone with this mic sleeve just to hide the lights. That way it doesn't show as much when they're giving a toast. I actually carry 2 Zoom H1s. Keep the one in this bag that I use for toast, and the other one I use for backup because I have the levels set specifically on this one for toasts. My main recorder for toasts is the Zoom H5. If you have a good connection, then it produces really clean audio. So this has really produced a lot of good audio for me. What I keep my lav mics in and my Tascam recorders in is this Think Tank Mindshift kit case. I keep all the mics in here for the groom, the officiant, and the bride. This one is for the bride. It's the Tascam. They're all Tascam DR10Ls. It's a strap that goes around the bride's thigh, and it has a little pocket right here for the recorder to go in. And I just have 2 black ones for the groom and the officiant. Every bride I've ever asked to put this on has no problem at all using it, and the audio is really good. You always just have to communicate with the bride that the audio is going to be much better from a mic that they have on than trying to capture it from the mic their fiance or husband has on. This last wedding I did, they read letters to each other, but they did it at a first look and they had their backs to each other, so I wouldn't have got the bride's audio good at all, so this really came in handy. What I use to attach the mic to the bride, I usually attach it to her skin inside her dress. I use these Rycoat stickies. Depending on how the dress is made, you can hide it, you know, pretty easy, but just find a spot either around, you know, her armpit or around her breastbone. Normally I'll do it somewhere up high on either side of the chest. They can attach to the skin or the fabric and they won't come off. I'll just attach it to the top of the mic there. Just make sure you don't cover the receiver at the top. Since I shoot solo, I have to really make sure that the gear I use, that I'm taking off people, the mics, everything, whenever I'm switching lenses out, I have to make sure that I put everything back to where it goes, because if I just set something down, put it wherever, I'm gonna lose it. And make sure everything goes back in your bag or goes back where you know it will be. Don't just set something down. For my cards, I use the Think Tank Pixel Pocket, the one that holds CF cards, but I put my SD cards in here as well. And just to show you what card I use SanDisk cards. This is my favorite card, but it's the Extreme Pro 128 gig. These CF cards are really tough. I accidentally washed one before and dried it, and it still works. So the other cards I use are the SD cards. I get 128 gigabyte cards. Make sure you check them, make sure you check the body of them, make sure they're not cracked or broke, because you don't want to film half a wedding on it and then something happened to it. I always number my cards. That way I know which ones I'm using. I also have this emergency pack. It's the Maxpedition. I have a lot of different things in here that will help on a wedding day. Tide to go pen, Advil, a lighter. Also have a Sharpie, flashlight. It's the Rayovac light pen from Walmart. A knife I got from Walmart. I have extra batteries. I have earplugs. Keep $100 in here. Zip ties, a couple pairs of hot hands, band-aids. And if you watch Peter McKinnon, I got this idea from him. I did have a lot of this stuff in my backpack already, but it was just in that front pouch. This makes it easier to find everything and get it all at once. It's a really good idea to have something like this in your bag. I also carry one of these rocket airs to clean off the lenses that have dust or anything like that. That way I don't scratch the lens if the ground is wet. I've got these heel plugs for the bride. I only keep a couple pair in my bag, but these go on the heel of the bride's shoes, and it keeps them from sinking down in the ground. Clorox wipe, some breath savers. Keep a pen in here, scissors, a lens pen, got a brush on it just to help not scratch the lens if I need to clean it. Extra pair of contacts. For charging my phone, I can even use this to charge my lights. I have a RAV Power Deluxe series, has a flashlight on it, has 2 USB port, iPhone charging cable, iPhone block, pair of Apple headphones. I have this battery case. I have 3 batteries in here. This holds 4 batteries. I have 2 extra batteries in here for the 5D Mark IV battery grip. I usually have to change batteries once a wedding, so I use 4 batteries a wedding for the 5D Mark IV. Unless it's a really long wedding, there's a lot of stuff going on, and I'll have to switch them twice, but usually I only have to switch batteries one time. And I have an extra battery for the 6D Mark II. I also carry some tacky putty in case I want to set the rings up straight up and they won't stand up, so I'll just use just a little bit of this to do that with. Have a roll of black gaffer's tape. The lights I just started using are the Aperture Mini 20s. I got the 3-in-1 kit. Comes with 3 tripods, batteries, AC adapters, just a really good kit. I used them at my last wedding for the first time. I really liked them, just had to kind of play around with them to see what kind of light they produced. I will do a review on these using them at a wedding, that way you guys can see. I really didn't want to spend the same amount on one Practolite, just because I can use these for a lot of different things too, like interviews. Or the light I'm using right now as my key light is one of these lights. They go to flood the spot. From what I could tell, I really liked them at the wedding. I didn't have them really far away, so I will test these out and do a review on them for you guys to see in case you're interested in buying these. So I don't use the light stands that Aperture sends with you. They send a nice case and they fold up reverse, so they're really small, but I just don't like them. You really can't put a sandbag on them to where they will stay secure. So I use Cowboy Studio light stands. They go up to 7 feet. I wish I had one that went up to about 9 or 10 feet that was really sturdy. You definitely have to use sandbags on your light stands. It's better to have sandbags on them anyway, just so they don't fall over. So the main gimbal I use for wedding days is the Ronin S. It took me about 2 to 3 months to really get confident using this for a whole wedding day, because I was so used to using the Glidecam HD. I didn't know if I would like it or not, but I love it for getting so many different shots. Since I use slow motion in a lot of my weddings, it really helps with getting that cinematic slow motion look. I started out using settings suggested by Parker Wallbeck, but then I kind of tweaked them a little bit for how I wanted it to move. I mainly use this from the beginning of the day for prep, details, and the only parts that I shoot during the reception are the first dances, maybe the toast, depending on when the toast happen. The only reason I don't use this during like open dancing is just because if I want to change lenses or take the camera off and do handheld, it's just a lot easier to use my glide cam at that time instead of resetting and rebalancing to change lenses and stuff. So the other gimbal I use on a wedding day is the GlideCam HD 2000. I mainly use this at receptions during open dancing, or if it's raining outside. I'm not going to take the Ronin outside, or sometimes the ceremony is even outside when it's raining. So I will definitely use this outside in the rain over the Ronin. The monopod that I use is the Benro monopod. The head I'm using is a Manfrotto head. I rarely use a monopod during the wedding day unless it's during toast or something where I want to keep a shot still. The feet are really stiff and it can even stand up on its own with the camera. You can tighten it up or loosen it. I mean, I really like it. I just don't use it that much. Tripod I use is a Manfrotto tripod. I mainly will use this tripod when filming toasts, or if I have to film the full ceremony, full first dances, I'll use this. I have two of these, and I have two of these Benro heads on it. These aren't the best heads, but I don't really use them a lot other than to just keep the camera still. I recommend Manfrotto heads for anything you're going to use a lot of movement with though. So that's basically everything I take for a wedding day. I take the think tank bag, I have an Amazon bag that I keep the Ronin in, and I have the aperture lights bag. The other small bag that I have is for the light stands, plus 2 sandbags. It's everything that I need right now to shoot the type of weddings I want to shoot. I do leave the monopod and the tripods in my truck unless I have to use them at the reception or the wedding. So if you have a question about any of the gear I use, if you want to see more videos like this, just make sure you comment down below. Also, if you want to see those settings for my Ronin S, make sure you let me know in the comments. I do appreciate you guys watching. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe if you want to see more like this.